All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the studio this evening. Where am I at? There I am. Hello, welcome everybody. It's a bright, sunny day, nice and warm here on the central coast of California. I hope it's sunny and warm, or at least sunny wherever you're at. I know some people, it hasn't started to warm up for them yet. I'm here in the studio. I'm going to paint this. I guess I forgot. I could have moved it over. Here it is. You've seen my drawing. Poppies. I love poppies. We have poppies here where I live. We now have them because they're starting to grow. And everything is coming up spring. Hello, fun stuff. Thank you for joining me. And let's see. Everything is starting to grow. It's looking like spring finally. Like I said, today was a warm day. It was a wonderful day outside today, bright and sunny. Here are my paints, nice and messy. Over on this side over here. I didn't clean them from last night's stream, and I think that's okay. Sandy is here. Mrs. T is here. Dawn is here. Hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. And watching me paint some poppies. What am I missing here? Oh, I'm missing my reference photo, which is... There it is. There's my reference photo. Right. How am I going to do the right? There it is for everybody to see. I think I've got everything where it needs to be now, and we can get started a little bit. I was running late today. I caught a little bit off guard. I don't know what has happened. Now that I'm working from home, even though I still am required to go into work most days, it seems as though I'm busier than I ever have been. And so I got home today, ran around, did a few things. And oh, Heather is here from the Craft Shack. Welcome, Heather. Thank you for stopping by. Anyways, busy. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how I'm going to do this. If you have seen on Twitch, and I understand most of you haven't, or most of you will be here from... most of you will be here from YouTube, so you won't have seen it. I painted Poppies previous times this week, and I have no idea where they're at. And I did them in two different ways. I did one where I painted the individual flowers, and then I did the background. And the next day I painted everything. Got a layer of paint on everything, and then went and put in secondary and tertiary coats on the flowers. And I think for me, I enjoy doing these anyways a little bit more, where I focus on just painting a flower, doing a background, and then painting the background. So I think that's how I'm going to do this one tonight. And like I said, I'm going to use my M-Gram paints over here to do that with. And I guess let's just get started. So I have here my... What do I have? This is this. Arches paper. Here it is. This is Arches paper, 100% cotton, 9 inches by 12 inches, 140 pound, cold pressed paper. That's what I'm using for this one. I'm not using that B paper that I had been using. Where's a good brush? Here's a nice mop brush that I can use. And with any luck, this will work out smashingly. Got a couple of dark colors here. I just want nice bright colors when I do the orange on here. I don't want anything else to get in the way of this orange. So I'm going to mix up a little orange. I know I could use just the orange that I have here. And Heather is super excited to see this. Let's see. Where are my colors? There they are. I'm going to run my colors up from the bottom there. And I could use Azo orange. It's a nice orange anyways. But I want to, on my first layer, get a nice light, really light orange. It's the lightest of the highlights. And here's what I want to get. So I'm actually going to use my Azo orange and mix that, lighten it up a little bit with my new gamboge, because I've got some really light lights through here that I want to put on super light, and we can always strengthen the colors after that. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm not wetting it first. I think we're going to have a small enough area that I can keep a wet edge in most of this, and we just go right. We're just going to jump right in and do this. This, as I said, this is my Arches paper, and Arches typically, for me anyways, where I am at, doesn't soak into the paper. There must be a bit more starch or something like that in the paper, so it doesn't quite soak in quite as much as the B paper that you see me use sometimes. With the B paper, I almost always have to pre-wet my paper, and only then can I add a color on top, because wherever I stop, it's like it soaks right into the paper, and I get a super tide line there. Let's see, Thirsty for a Brew is here over on Twitch. Yes, my Ohio State sweatshirt. It's a nice warm day today, but I live on the coast, and as soon as the sun goes down, it starts to cool down, especially in the spring, well, in the winter, of course, but especially in the springtime. So we had sunset here a few minutes ago, literally like 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, and you can already tell that the temperature is dropping. Kraftshack, have potty on the man. I think you mean pity on the man. I'm a Browns fan. Yes, I am a Browns fan. Yes, I deserve a break, because I've been a Browns fan for these many years. But tomorrow during the draft, we will make it up. We're going to win the draft again. We always do well in the draft. I thought that we were kind of past that, but we win the draft. Yes, every year it looks great. We're going to rule the NFL based upon draft moves and trades that we've made, and then what happens is the Browns actually start to play football and they revert to form. And, well, they're terrible. But that's okay. That's okay. I've been rooting for the Browns since I've been, as long as I can remember. I mean, since I've been a tiny child, and so I'm never going to stop. You can't make me. And, of course, everybody knows, everybody should know that I went to Ohio State. I was only there for 7 years or so. I don't know, something like that. Should have been out a lot sooner. I should say it wasn't that I was lazy or lackadaisical, or not that I didn't want to learn anything. I came away with 3 degrees in 7 years, and I think that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Who else is here? Minty is here. Hello, Minty. I'm glad you made it tonight. Who else is here on YouTube? I don't know. Mrs. T. Michelle is here. Andrea is here. Andrea, you like this picture of Poppies better than the other ones I've had. You know what? I don't even know what kind of poppies these are, but these are not the poppies we have growing around here. These are super nice. I like these, a really bright pop of color on these. The ones we have here are much smaller, with a much smaller center and bright orange. And I was explaining the other night that, I grew up in Ohio, or maybe not obviously, but I did. I grew up in Ohio. We didn't have poppies in Ohio, not that I ever saw anyways. Maybe they have them somewhere. And everybody, I would hear talks of, when I moved out to California, hear talks about, oh, poppies, I love poppies, I love poppies. Oh, who cares? What? There's lots of flowers. Why are you stuck on poppies? And then after I moved out here, I got to see them, and I was like, holy cow, these are really cool. I love these. They're just so bright and effervescent, and they bring springtime with them. For me growing up, it was always daffodils. Daffodils, daffodils, daffodils. It wasn't really springtime unless there were some daffodils around. And my mother and I would ride on our bicycles down our street to a torn down house. It was an old farmhouse that had been torn down, and the foundation was still there. And we'd ride down there, pull in what was the driveway, get off our bikes, and walk up to this ruined foundation of a house, because the house either was torn down or it fell down. One of the two, I don't know, but the foundation was still there, and all of the plants that were planted there were still there. And so every spring, at least once a week, we would ride our bikes. And it was about, I don't know, maybe it was a mile or so. It wasn't very far. We'd ride our bikes down there and pick some daffodils. And so I've always got that memory sticking with me of springtime and daffodils. And that was really the first time we ever could get out on our bikes to have, an adventure in the year. So that for me will always hold a place in here for springtime. But now that I'm out here, and I want my kids to embrace it out here, that poppies, these orange poppies in the summertime or in the springtime here, are a harbinger of spring. We know spring is really here when the poppies start coming out. There we go. We got a couple of nice little flowers going here. I'm trying not to let the colors run over a little bit, because I'm constantly mixing these colors, and if one is just a little bit different than the other when it gets into when we paint a highlight in there, I'm hoping that we'll be able to notice just a little bit of the difference here. We don't have to notice a huge difference. Our eye is able to pick up quite a great range of colors. So if we have it just ever so slightly different, we can really our eyes will really pick that up, so we don't have to make a huge difference here. And where I've got the centers painted, right, maybe you can see here a little bit, I've painted just over the centers in some places, just a little bit, because those black stamen, or whatever they're called, I'm not sure exactly what they're called, they stick up a little bit. Well, we maybe want a little bit of that in the background. A little bit of that color back behind. And so we don't want to cover all of that up. Here, I'll pick this up and show you what I'm talking about here. Just let me put in, there we go, that last little dab of color right there. I hardly had to go over and get any water for my brush. These squirrel brushes hold a ton of water. There we go. Right, I've just gone over my line here, in a couple of places here, and a little bit there, and that's okay. Not an issue. Okay, and now we're gonna let these dry. Let's see, I took let's see, oh, Mrs. T, you're talking about being in school. You took 7 years to get out of your school because not because of necessarily working real fine. Alice is here from Massachusetts. Welcome, Alice. Thank you for stopping by and seeing me. I hope you enjoy the painting. I hope you find it a nice place to be and come and stay, and hopefully you come back again. Mrs. T's daffodils are wonderful right now, lovely right now. I love to hear that. The poppies on Interstate 5 and Gorman Pass are exquisite. Oh, and what I love about the poppies is you don't get 1 or 2 or 3. You get 10,000 of them. It's just like a field, and you just look, and it just goes on where it's able to, and it just goes on for forever. Let's see. Am I going to play my ukulele tonight? Okay, so I was hoping to keep that a little secret, but no, tonight I think I left my ukulele in the house tonight. Let's see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. For those of you who don't know, one of the things that I'm doing it's not quarantine, but it's in isolation, is I'm learning to play. Oh, now I've got the camera right in front of me. I'm learning to play ukulele. My daughter got a ukulele. She bought it at a swap meet or a garage sale or something like that a number of years ago. And she just grabs it and strums and doesn't know any chords or whatnot, or didn't know any chords. Anyways, and she started to get serious about playing it. She's watching YouTube videos and actually practicing and whatnot. And I told her, I said, well, my birthday's coming up. Maybe I'll get one for my birthday, or maybe I'll just buy one and we'll sit down and learn how to play together. And that'll be something I can do with you, because we can't go anywhere. We can't go on a hike or whatnot. We're really trying to stay isolated. So I got a ukulele for my birthday, and if you can see my fingertips, yeah, they're a little sore. It's hard to type. It's not so hard to play, but when I tap like that, they really hurt. So I'm learning ukulele. So it's been too long. Oh, Angie's Lala Studio. It's been too long. I'm glad you can stop by and catch me, Angie. Thank you for making the time to come here tonight. Okay, so I'm sure everything has dried. I've babbled on long enough. Now it's time to get in and put a brighter pop of color on here. I'm going to grab a brush here. It's just a middle size round brush. This one is a number 5. And I'm going to start to define these leaves, or these petals a little bit. And the first way I'm going to do that is, well, I'm going to mix in a little bit of this pyrrole red that I have going here with my azo orange. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a bit of a graded wash, right? So I'm going to start way down here, and I don't have a whole lot of paint or water on this brush. I'm going to pull that up, and then I'm going to get it wet, right? You guys all know how to do graduated or graded washes, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to start with that. Okay, and that's going to start to give me a little bit of dimension on here. And if I get a little bit more red in it, holy cow, let me look up. Oh, something's happened. There we go. If I get a little bit more red in it, so be it. If I get a little bit more orange in it, so be it, right? I'm not worried about the color value at the moment. I'm worried about getting, hang on a minute. I'm not worried about the color at the moment. I'm only worried about the value, right? So, and I want to put lights. All right, I got to take that up just a little bit. I got to put lights next to darks so we can kind of stack these things up and get a little bit of a dimension in here. Right, and so I'm going to do that here too. This will be a nice one to do. right? A little bit of color down here. And if we kind of do it at a little bit of an angle like this, then not only are we going to start to add a little bit of depth to our painting, but we're going to start adding a little bit of a dimension to our painting too. Meaning that petal isn't flat, it's rounded. So if we put a little bit of color not straight on there, it'll actually give it a little dimension to make it look like it's a little bit rounded. Let's see. Who plays it? Mrs. T, you play the bongos? That's great. That's great. I can't believe you play the bongos. I don't know anybody who's played the bongos. That's fantastic. All right, now I'm going to move into a little bigger area here. Right, I've got this spot down here. I'm learning. This is yesterday's. Yesterday it was all ukulele talk on Twitch for me. It might take over tonight too. It's such a happy little instrument. I'm learning it's not quite as easy as you think. There's a lot to do. And I haven't yet figured out how to. I still haven't. I practiced for about an hour today. It's not a small amount of time, but not a great amount of time. And I'm just doing some online videos to learn how to do it. But I've learned for myself that it's physically impossible to sing and strum and change your fingers for the chords all at the same time. It just doesn't happen. It's not physically possible. Anybody who does it is obviously cheating. They're using a soundtrack or somebody singing behind them or something. I can strum right, I think. I can strum and I can do the chords and I can read what I'm supposed to be changing to. And then I throw in a fourth thing and everything fails. Let's see. You hope I feel better. I feel better. I did have those few days where I had some kind of doldrums and it was taking a toll on me. I didn't like being alone in the back of the house. I still don't like being alone in the back of the house. That's no way to spend a good isolation. But I am feeling better. I think what it really is, the key is that really I've just come to terms with it. It's not something we want to do. It's something we have to do. And I can be upset or miserable or unhappy in some way, shape, or form about it. And that will possibly, it's going to affect me, but it will possibly affect the kids and my wife and everybody else. And I don't want to do that. So I just got over it. It's certainly not that easy, but in essence, I kicked myself in the butt and said, come on, Michael, just get over it. We got stuff to do. You have to go to work. You have to get up. You have to do this. It's not that. It's not that bad. It's bad. It's a huge inconvenience. But it could be a lot worse. And so that's kind of what I told myself. And I guess after a while of feeling badly, then I've gotten over it and I feel better about it. The family has come out into the yard. This was fun. The family has come out into the yard, and the kids have a trampoline that they can play with. And I sit on one side of the driveway, and my wife and anybody who's not on the trampoline, whichever one of the kids is not on the trampoline, sit over with her, and I sit on the other side of the driveway. And we've been doing, what are they called? They are called Mad Libs. We've been doing Mad Libs. If you remember those things, it's where whoever is writing things down tells you, you need to give me an adverb or an adjective, or you need to give me a verb ending in ing, something like that, and you supply it, and they write it on a line, and then you don't know what the story's about, and then they read it back to you at the end using all the words that you've supplied, and it's just this crazy story, and we all laugh and have a good time with it. So so my family has been doing that for me, I think. Maybe as much for the kids as anything, because that gets them out and we all get to have a laugh together too. But so we've been doing Mad Libs across the driveway, which has really helped. So, and No Name is giving me an OH, so I got to give you an IO. There you go. I'm not so far away from graduation that I don't know that one. All right, and there we go. And so now you can see right here, we're building up a little bit of color, and it's a little darker in the middle here, and it's a little darker on this side where I think maybe there's a little bit of shadow here, right? And on this side, maybe I should have done a little bit lighter. If I wanted a little bit lighter over here, I can just scrape a little of that color off, like that. And anyway, you see we're starting to build up some nice colors, and along the way, let's see, I'll do a little bit of this. Along the way, we're starting to get a little bit of shape. This kind of looks like it has some dimension to it now, right? It's not totally just a flat piece. And you'll see if we have to come back and do another piece, another layer on here, you will see that it's going to be even more so like that. Okay, I'm going to turn these off. Let's see, paint colors, that goes off there. And I want to put this up here at the top. There we go. These are people who have supported me recently, so I want to say thank you to them for that. Put that right up there at the top while I'm doing a little bit more of the same thing here. It's going to mix, and I'm basically using two colors here, right? I did mix in on a little bit of this orange on a couple of these, a little bit of a colder yellow. I'm using a Hansa yellow over here. And this darker, really darker area over here on the side, right here, that's a little bit of, you guys see me use it all the time. I love the color because it provides a bit of darkness for reds and oranges without being brown. That's my maroon paraline, which is a, like I said, in my mind, is a fantastic color. In fact, I'm going to drop just a little bit of it over here. I don't want to use too much of it because it doesn't look like a strong color, but it's a pretty strong color. So there we go, where that's a little deeper and darker back under there. I'm going to put that little bit of maroon paraline, and then I'm just going to blend this out really nicely. Now my board is sloped here. My desk is sloped a little bit, so this will probably run out just a little bit. There we go. Oh, and Jazzy Jane Canada's here. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining again tonight. Let's see, I bought some of those. Oh, Michelle, you bought some of these. Did you buy these Rubloff brushes, or did you buy the ones that have the clear finish on the handles of them? Oh, let me know how you like these. You all know my opinion. I like these. I think they're wonderful brushes, especially for the value that you get for them. I've no problems with them at all. So please, Michelle, how long ago did you get them, and how much have you used them? Okay, so you got these ones. These are the Master Series brushes. These are very nice brushes. The only one of mine that I kind of have any issue with at all of these Master brushes is my number 6, right, which is the one just a little bit bigger than this. And it just doesn't quite come to the point that this one does. But again, that's not that big of a deal because I use this one, and when I need something that covers just some basic more space, then I just use that one, and everything is good. So have you used them a lot, Michelle? Are they working out for you? I hope the answer is yes on that. I would hate to suggest that you get some and then they turn out not to be very good. That would make me not feel good at all. All right, I'm just going to continue to paint in here. I'm just looking for areas. Oh, I didn't pick this area very well. I was going to say I'm just looking for areas that are not contiguous, but I've got one there. I'll deal with it in a second. And I'm looking at my reference photo and very loosely following it as far as, where the highlights are at and where the lowlights are at and how I can put some color on here. This is, whoa, that one's bright. That's bright. Might have been just a wee bit more than I bargained for there, but that's okay. It's important that you see the whole process so you know what's going to happen if it's too much red like that. I'm just going to drop right on top of it a little bit of this azo orange. It's going to blend that out. We'll still end up with a really nice color here. It's just going to not be a color from on my page or on the palette over here. It's going to be a color that's blended on the page. Just totally fine. And I'm just trying to lighten that one little area right there where I've got a petal behind here. I want that to be a bit lighter because I want there to be a distinct difference between the two. Right? I want when you look at this, in fact, I can already tell you, I'm going to have to go back and darken that one up behind it. So Michelle, let's see. They arrived not long ago. I'm just playing so far. The points are great. Okay, good. Where can you purchase these? Dana, you can. They now are starting to sell these on Amazon, but I got mine on eBay. And on eBay, if you just type in on Amazon too, I guess, right? If you just type in Rubloff, Roubloff, the brushes will pop right up. and it's the same guy selling them on Amazon as on eBay. I got mine a number of years ago. And I'm glad they're still making these same ones. You know, sometimes brush manufacturers change what they make, their models and whatnot, but it sounds as though they're still making these, which is great, and they are. These are fantastic little brushes. Love these. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, you got yours on eBay did you get them from the store? There were from the store SAW 69 or something like that. SAW 60 something. I don't know. His first one was SAH something. I know that. I'm just going to pull a little bit more of this out. So I've got a light over here. I'm going to make it lighter right in there just to make sure. I'll pull that out. I think you can see, even with this camera, that's quite a bit lighter right there. Ooh, it just got a little stripe down in there. I like that. But now it looks like it's in a little bowl right there, right? If you look at that, if you just looked at that, you would say, oh, that coves in right there. That's just the darkness in the bottom of that and comes out to a lighter up at the top. Makes it look really nice. And then when we do this down here, we'll put dark down at the bottom, and we'll just do a nice graduated blend all the way up to the top. That'll be great. Okay, let's see. Next one. I'm going to do this one right here. And let's see. Just give me a mix of these colors in here. A little bit of darker. And the one really nice thing about this, the Arches paper specifically, when you do this, is it lets you hold that edge for a long time. They're glazing. Is that what it is? What's the term? The starch that's on here, anyways, it's just starch, really. The starch that's on here is so nice that it doesn't allow anything to soak into the paper for just a little bit of time, and that gives you all the time you need to work with your paints, to play with your paints, and to get them to do exactly what you want them to do. Now look at that little blend right there. That looks fantastic. Let's see. Good price for the set of 6. I got them from the same. Yeah, okay, good, for the same guy. And you got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I got 8. I got 6 through 0 or 6 through 00 or something like that. Anyways, I like the brushes. I think they're a fantastic little brush. Is that dry? That is dry. Which is why I'm continuing to use them. Although, I will admit, I do swap brushes out every now and again. Just because I think sometimes you use one and you get a little too used to it. You could do something a little different with another one, and it's good to, I don't know, just play around a little bit so you know what you're using, you know what's out there, you know what the brush is doing, and you know what you're doing a little bit, if that makes any sense. Right? What's the capability of the brush and what's the capability of the painter? That's got to come into the equation at some point. All right, so this one is starting to look nice too. Look at that. And I used right? That azo orange and a little bit of the new gamboge from over here underneath. And look how pale it got. It really got pale. So we're going to have to push these colors a little bit if we don't want it to get that pale on here. Right, but look at the colors on there. That looks fantastic. Right, doesn't it? Just give these poppies that fieriness that they deserve to have. Now, I already think that mine aren't going to look anything like, I'm pointing over here because that's where my reference photo is, but they're not going to look anything like the reference photo that's over there. Let's see. Oh, you forgot about the 0 and 00. That happens. They're so small. They're tiny. Let's see. So mine aren't going to look anything like, well, where are they at? Anything like those anyways, but it doesn't matter. They're all going to look great. They're going to look fantastic. And look at these are already dried down here. Look at the beautiful range of colors that we've got on here already. This is wonderful. Well, I don't know what to say. It looks great. It looks great. And yes, I'm turning my page a little bit. And I should say, this is what I have coming up. Tomorrow, I'm tired of my studio the way my studio is. Not tired of having the studio, and I'm not tired of painting in the studio, but the studio itself is aligned a bit awkwardly, I guess is the best way to say it. So, starting tomorrow, maybe, let me say that. Starting tomorrow, maybe, depending upon what my work has to do, has for me to do, I'm going to start to try to rearrange the studio, and I'm going to try to shift this to that wall, and I'm going to try to move a shelf over to here. It's just it's just not really working out for me. The funny thing is that I come in here in the daytime, normally it will be on a Saturday afternoon or something like that, right? I'll come in here and I'll want to do a bit of a painting or something, and I'll walk in and it's dingy and dreary in here, and I'm like, why is it like that? That shouldn't be like that. I've got a skylight in here. I've got a skylight right up there. But this studio light that happens to be right there totally plugs it up. It's just totally blocked up, and there's no light comes in. And so I don't like that. And the rest of it just is, I don't know, it's time for a change. I'll just say it that way. It's time for a change. So when we all meet back here next week, we will all be oriented a bit differently. And maybe I'll show you around the studio a little bit or something like that. Who was it? Mrs. T? Was it Mrs. T that said she wanted to see all of my colors because she sees them falling at the intro to my videos every week, and so she wanted to see some of all of the colors? I'm happy to do that. I don't know that would make a whole hour-long video, but I'm happy to do some of that. All right, I was trying to give it just a little bit, not anything specific here, but I'm just trying to give it a little bit of texture by adding a couple of lines. You do? Okay, it was you. I thought it was you. So maybe we'll do a little bit of that at some point. And you can see some of the multitude of colors that I have, and if I can, I'll say this. If I can set it up so that I can get all my colors in and out in a reasonable time frame, I'll show you guys all the colors I have and how I use them, and how I store them, where I store them, how I use them. I hope you guys are seeing how I use them. And what paints I haven't used and what paints I should be using, and whatnot. I do need to order some new black paint. I was painting with black the other day, and this is the only black I have. This is Winsor and Newton Ivory Black, and that's the last of everything I have. And so I went to order some online, and daggone it, I went on Amazon, and the company doesn't offer free shipping. I'm like, who doesn't offer free shipping anymore? So now I'm going, well, where am I going to get my paint at? I don't want to pay for shipping. I'll find it somewhere. I don't even know if the local art store is open, to tell you the truth. I know there are a lot of artists in this area, but I don't know if they're even open. Oh, and I do have some art news for everybody. How about that? A paint. I can't be here next Monday, but we'll watch the replay. Well, I'm not saying I'm going to do it next Wednesday. Let me see how I can get everything in and out, and let me get the whole thing reorganized here first before I get into getting all of my materials out and whatnot. But I'm happy to do it. It is kind of interesting to see how other people set up their studio, and why they set it up a certain way or whatnot. So I'm happy to do that. But I'm not convinced it's going to be next Wednesday. I'm just telling you right now. I have no idea what I was talking about. Joan, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find those brushes at a good price here in Canada. Oh, have you worked with other brushes that have similar performance? I never thought about internationally how much they are. I know that I've talked to, how about Art of the Carolinas in November? Great trade show, big discounted prices. Interesting. I have talked to a couple of Russian artists, and they don't use these because in Russia they cost too much, similar to what you're saying about Canada. So they use other brushes, which here cost a lot of money, but in Russia apparently they don't. So I don't know how that whole thing works. It's kind of funny. But the other brushes I use, well, I just got... Boy, I could do a whole brush show too. I've got so many brushes. Maybe I'll do that. That would be a good one too. I'll bring out all my brushes. We'll see how some of them paint and see how some of them don't paint, as the case may be. That'll be a whole show too. But I have two sets of brushes that I like and I use. And if you go back and watch my videos, you probably will have seen me use them in the not too distant past. And I don't know that they're a whole lot cheaper for you, but one I got because, now this is interesting. Well, I'll tell you the non-interesting one first. I like the Da Vinci Brush Company. So I got some Da Vinci Kolinsky brushes. I don't know the model number that they are. And Da Vinci, in all of their goodness, they painted on the numbers, even the size amounts, and they've come off. So I can't even tell you what they are. Here's one. Well, this one I don't use that much. So this one's here. This is, I still couldn't tell you. N36? I don't know. But this is them. These are my Da Vinci brushes. I like these quite a bit. And the other ones, and those are sable brushes. The other ones that I like quite a bit that I've used, and this is the interesting story. So I'm friends with Heather from the Craft Shack. She's probably not still here. She stopped in to say hello, and she's always super busy. But she has a friend that helps host her show with her here on Twitch, the Craft Shack. I'll give her a plug. Craft Shack, weekday mornings at 9:30 Pacific, which is 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, where she has her art adventures. And right now she's painting an acrylic painting, and it's going to take her, it's quite large, it's probably 2 foot by 3 foot, it's quite large. It'll probably take her the better part of 2 weeks to get that thing done, but she's got a fun crowd on there. Anyways, the woman who moderates her channel for her had sent Heather a brush, and I saw it and I was like, wow, that's a kind of a neat brush. What is that? And she went, oh, I've got an extra one of these. I'll just send it to you and you can check it out. It was a travel brush made by, well, I say made by, marketed by a Belgian company called Mairtini, M-A-I-R-T-I-N-I. And in fact, I'll show you the brush. Here it is. It's a travel brush. It's a fantastic brush. It comes to a super sharp point. It's almost too good of a point, if I'm honest with you. And the belly's really big on this. I don't know what size this is. It says it's a size 12, but it's a little bigger than this size 5. But it doesn't matter because it holds so much water. And so she sent this to me, and I liked it. And so I looked for some other Mairtini brushes, and I bought a set of them. And here's one of them, and these are squirrel brushes, and they're fantastic. I really like these. I used these a lot before I switched back over to these, and probably when I switch away from these, I'll go back to those Mairtini ones. The Da Vinci Maestro series are some of their Kolinsky brushes. Yeah, oh yeah, right. And yeah, Da Vinci makes wonderful brushes. Okay, and have I blathered on long enough? Oh, I've got some, I can do a little bit of work up here, can't I? Just wondering if I blathered on long enough to find any dry spots on here that I could put a little paint. So I hope that answers your question about brushes, about what I think of brushes or what other brushes I think are good. But quite honestly, there are so many good brushes out right now. Even if you don't want to pay, a lot for a brush, you're not able to pay I don't know, $50, $20, 30, $10 for a brush. Oh my God, whatever price range you're in, there's probably a decent brush out there for you somewhere. Even, quite honestly, even the snap brushes made by Princeton are actually pretty decent brushes. They're all synthetic, and Princeton's been making synthetic brushes for forever. But they're pretty good too, and they're dirt cheap. I got a few of those hanging around here somewhere. Or maybe I just gave them to a friend. My office mate, his daughter apparently is pretty good at art, and asked if I had some extra watercolors so that they could all paint watercolors together during their sequestration. And I went, heck yeah. So I set them up with 5 sets of paints and 5 sets of brushes and a stack of paper about that thick, and said, go have fun. The only caveat was I wanted to see what you were doing when you were done with them all. Okay, let's see what's going on up here. Let's see. I have a few Princetons. I need to play with them more. Okay, I really love the black velvet brushes. Oh, the black velvets. Ay, 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 ay. And the Grumbacher round number 8 is your go-to. Okay. Oh, I got these. I'll tell you what. Hang on. Here's a couple of them. So this was a little tiny set. These are the Winsor Newton Cotman ones. And they come with these 2 rounds, a little flat brush, and something else. There were 3 brushes and a flat brush, and I think they were only $20 a set. And these are wonderful brushes. There's nothing wrong with these at all. I think this 6 is the largest it gets to in the rounds. But these are just Winsor Newton Cotman 111 round brush. 111. I'm assuming 111 is the series of brushes. They're wonderful brushes, and they're pretty cheap too. So lots of brushes out there. Lots and lots of brushes out there that we can choose from. All right, let's see what we got here. I want to put these 2 together, right? And I would typically, being at the bottom of this, I would typically put a little bit darker something down here. But I don't want to do that because I have a little bit of dark on that other one, and I don't want those 2 colors to run into each other. So this petal is going to be fairly light. And you know what? When it's all said and done, and this one is light like this, you'll look at it and you'll go, up, totally normal. Just like it's supposed to be. Nothing wrong with that at all. So that's it. You have a dream to get to the art of the Carolinas. Let's see. Super helpful. Thanks. I have a eclectic collection of mismatched brands and sizes. I have an eclectic set of mismatched brands and sizes of brushes. Don't think, Andrea, that there's anything wrong with having a mix match set of brushes, because there is not. There's nothing wrong with it. Look, we all have mismatched sets of everything. Right? I'll bet you've got a mix match set of paints. I bet you've got a couple of different brands of paper. If you golf or your husband golfs or something, I'll bet you that you have, or he has, or someone has, a couple of different manufacturers of clubs in their bag. Right? If you I don't know, whatever hobby you have. I'm just trying to think what else where you need multiple pieces of things. And I'm kind of coming up a little bit blank, but the point is, whatever you have isn't wrong. Just because they aren't all from the same set doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. You can make beautiful, wonderful artwork with whatever brushes you have. And if you have a mix match set, well, look, I'm using these squirrel ones here. I'll probably use these on the background. These are made by Dana. And if I have to do any fine lines, then I have this Princeton Select one on here. So, and then these Rubloff brushes. So even on my set, right, I'm kind of doing a little bit of this right now, but I've got a whole bunch of cuckoo bonkers brushes over there. So don't let that bother you too much. All right, we're almost done with these flowers, and we can move on to, we're almost done with the petals. We've still got the centers to do, and only everything else. So how hard can it be? But look, the flowers themselves are really starting to look nice. I have some Princeton and Grumbacher ones too. I'm a brush hoarder. I've been called a brush snob. So that's fine if you're a brush hoarder. It would be fun to have a weekend paint class paint along. Those were all orange in California. Yeah, yes, last spring was a really wet spring in California, and the poppies just were everywhere. This year, it's wet. It's not quite as wet, but they're still out there. Let's see. The silver black velvet brushes. I have these. And I just bought the basic set of these, and I'm still trying to figure out why everybody loves these. There's nothing I dislike about these brushes. Not one thing. The price is good. The feel of them is good. The balance is good. The hairs feel nice. They come to a point. Having said all of that, I'm struggling to love these, and I can't figure out why. I don't know. I don't know why I don't get the same feel from this brush that I do from this brush. And I wish I did, because this brush is cheaper. but it's it's probably a personal taste or something like that. So. I'm certainly not going to try to dissuade you from buying those. Okay, I'm going to mix up. Let me get some water on these. These are going to freshen up really, really quickly. So I've got some neutrals here, and I need to put a dark at the center of these. But if we look at them, if I can get these in here, right, this center has a nice big highlight on it, and this center has a nice big highlight, and this center has a nice big highlight on it. So it's gonna take a couple of rounds of paint here. So I'm trying just to find a really neutral, right? Take that for what it is, a neutral that I can put on here pretty lightly. And for me to find a neutral, again, take that for what it's worth. I could mix up, or I guess, we all know we could mix up colors opposite on the color wheel, right? I can mix up a green and a red, or I could mix up an orange here and a blue. Lots of different things we could do to make a neutral. But for me, I've got my 3 neutrals over there. Payne's Gray, which has a bit of a blue bias. Right, neutral tint, which has a bit of a purple bias to it. and sepia, which is a brown. Right? I call it a neutral, but it definitely has a brown tint to it. So if I don't feel like mixing all of the time my neutrals, then I just mix my 3 neutrals together, and I'm going to come out with something that is a pretty basic color, right? Probably as close to the center of the color chart as I'm going to get. And then I'm going to use that as the base for this. And then when we go to put a color onto this, our second coat onto this, then we'll use a dark that has a bit more color to it, and leave this, which is really, a neutral, as our highlight. And I'm hoping that that is going to work out nicely. It already looks like a nice color in there, doesn't it? Let me mix up a little bit more of this. I think it looks so nice because it's probably got just a bit more of the Payne's gray in there. But it's not just straight Payne's gray. And that little bit of blue in that Payne's gray is really probably going to help pop it off of here a little bit. But here we go. I'm just putting these centers on. And I know I'm starting to move my board around a little bit more after having it taped down for so long. Let's see. Oh, Mad Garlic is here. Welcome. I have some silver black velvet brushes, but I'm not in love with them either. Right, there you go. I think the silver black is squirrel. The silver black velvets are squirrel. But the squirrel doesn't bother me. I don't... The way that they're built... So the way that they're put together, manufactured, is done in kind of a tricky little fashion. And I think that that's going to have a bit more to do with not liking it than anything else. If you look at the silver black velvets, they're made with short hairs on the outside and long hairs on the inside. Right? And I looked at that for a long time and I went, that's the weirdest thing. I don't understand. Because other brushes are not made that way. If you look at well, this brush, but this brush is already wet. So it's a bit harder to look at it, but let me grab a dry brush here. And here. So this brush, right, has long hairs all throughout it. Right? They're a little shorter on maybe the outside here, but they're long all the way out. The black velvet, look, they have way short hairs out here and way long hairs in the center. And the hairs in the center are a lot thicker. Right, so your normal squirrel brush, like this, is really flexible, and these ones are much springier. And I think it's because they have such thick hair in the center, and it forces it to come to a point by having the little short hairs on the outside. So they've kind of cheated on that a little bit. I'm okay with it. But they cheated on that a little bit, and as a result, I think that's why they feel a little funny when you paint with them. So let's see, they're quite firm. Do Perlis here. Oh, I don't have any Perlis. Let's see. They're quite firm, but for synthetic, they hold quite a bit of water. Good for delicate and detailed work. Oh, wow, that's good. I miss stores. It's hard to online shop. Good observation on the brush hair length. I looked at that. I'm like, that is the weirdest thing. I don't get it. I don't understand why they want to do that. I mean, I get why they want to do it, but I don't understand why they want to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up a big puddle of green. I'm just going to pull a lot of this green out here. I want to have a big puddle of this green because I'm going to paint this background, and I'm only going to paint these few leaves that I have here. So my background is going to be, a little bit different, and I probably should try to pre-wet some of this. And then we'll do the background, and we'll get the insides of these. We're almost done. Where are we at? I was going to say we must be over an hour now. Won't be too much longer, and we'll be done with this. I was going to say, this is where I like my cobalt green. Right, I have cobalt green on my palette specifically because I like the way it looks when I paint stuff like this. It reminds me of the color of the greens here in California, or at least in my area of California. Right, our greens are not bright greens. I grew up in Ohio, and our greens were bright greens. They were, boy, those greens were bright, in-your-face greens. And we see pictures of it, and my kids look at it, and they're like, is that real? That looks so weird because the green is so bright. And I'm like, no, that's how it is in other parts of the country, just not here. And that's okay, but this green, this cobalt green really has kind of a deserty green look to it. And I'm just going to mix in here, just in a random-ish kind of a way, some yellow. This happens to be, the yellow that I'm using here probably is my new gamboge, because I want it to be a warm yellow. It's a springtime picture here, right? So I want to make sure we get some nice greens from this, and I'm trying very hard not to do this too dark. Sometimes it's a bit hard for me not to do this too dark, because I like to paint dark things, and I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I want this to be a value lighter, like 4 levels or 5 levels lighter than what I'm painting in the foreground. So I just need to be careful not to get carried away with anything. I can, if I want to get carried away, I can get a little bit more carried away down here at the bottom if I have to. Right, I can start mixing in a little colder color. Phthalo would be fine. Phthalo's so crazy. But I don't want it to be stark. And I'm going to come around this side. I'm just trying to work quickly to help keep the wet edge on here. I'm going right over those green leaves that I've got in here. Right, I'm okay to go right over top of them, because they're going to get painted in afterwards, and they'll go right on top, and they're a similar color profile, so we just go right over top of them, and we're not going to worry about it at all. There we go. And when we get down to the bottom, we've got something that looks similar to that. Could put a few stocky things in here way in the background if we think that's going to help a little bit. But that's the basis for my background, and I think it helps to pop those flowers off there quite a bit. Let's see. The Perla are much firmer than the Prado and Reserva. If you like the other two, they're just as good. Let's see. Me and my never-ending struggles with greens. California Emerald Green. It's not emerald. It's, to me, the emerald. Well, let's see. Emerald green. Emerald green is a Winsor Newton color, right? I don't think. Oh, I had my M-gram chart here. I think I started to move it a little bit. I don't think M-gram has an emerald green. Okay, and so I got to let the background here dry. But I think I can get in and do a little bit of work on the centers of these poppies. So let's see what we can do here. And I just want to show a little bit of this. Oh, I'm going to put my finger right in that. I know it. I just know it. And I think I just bumped the camera with my head too. That's not good. All right, I just want to put a little edge around there. Make that stand out just that little bit, something like that. For right now, that's going to be good. Going to move on to the next one here. I'm going to do about the same thing with this one, and this is Payne's Gray with a little bit of sepia in it. And I'm just outlining this at the moment. I'm going to come back and add a little bit to it, but I want to get just a little bit of softness on the top of it here. If I leave this top part a little softer, even if I come back and draw a few lines in here or something, it's going to make it a bit more dimensional. And that's really what we want when we're doing a couple of these flowers. We want to see the dimension in these. We want to know that these flowers are, real things here. They have some real qualities to them. And this one down here, I'm looking, that's mostly dark down there. We can't see a whole lot else down there. But here we can see a little bit. In fact, this one, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do this the rest of the way out with this one, because this one, we're looking so straight down onto it. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna. Let me. Not, I'm not gonna do that. I changed my mind. Let's see. What was the yellow color you mixed with the cobalt? The yellow color I mixed with my cobalt green is my warm yellow on my palette, which is Gamboge or New Gamboge. And I like Gamboge as a warm yellow. I think it's a fantastic color. I have I guess you could make the case that the Azo orange is a yellow. I guess, I mean, look at it. It's pretty yellow here. I'll pick it up this way. There we go. But I have a cold yellow, which is Hansa yellow, and I have a warm yellow, which is Gamboge, or New Gamboge, and then Azo orange. And those are the only three that I would put in the yellow family. In fact, I've divided this up as best I could. Blues, greens, reds, yellows, and neutrals. And then yellow ochre, I think, kind of sits on its own out here. It's not a yellow. I mean, I guess technically it's a yellow, but I don't like to think of it as a yellow. It's just a color out there like you use. And then I put cobalt violet over here. I don't use a whole lot of cobalt violet, but I wanted to have some kind of purple on here anyways. But so that's how I have mine divided. Blues, greens, reds, yellows, and neutrals. Just that's how I decided to make mine right there. And I'm gonna darken this one down here, since we know this one's gonna be a bit darker. Down here, not too dark on this. Don't want to lose all of my light down there, and I might leave a few just little open spaces here and there in that, so we can see maybe there's just a little bit of light shining down in there a little bit, but it's dark enough, it's back there far enough, we really can't see any of that, the center in there. Something like that. I'm happy with that. Let's see. Now, Michelle, you bought so many brushes, and now you need to add on to your paint collection. That's so funny. Let's see. I'm curious, what is it about the greens that you struggle with, that I struggle with? I don't know that I struggle too much with greens. Did I say I struggle with greens? I don't always like to mix my own green. I will admit to that. I think I can't do that yet. I think oftentimes when you mix your own green, it doesn't come out nearly as well as you like. So I don't often, I don't mix all that many of my own greens. I should say it that way. That's probably a better way to say it. But I will mix into my greens. I do that. Right? Oftentimes I will start with the green that I have. I rarely ever, I shouldn't say don't, I rarely ever use phthalo green as it is. That's just not something I even want to try. I did that a couple of times and it just came out just cuckoo bonkers, my painting. It was hard to look at. It was so... I think the only time I really used phthalo green by itself is when I painted the, what was it, mint chocolate chip ice cream. That was the best use of phthalo green I ever found. Everything else is just kind of, really? But mint chocolate chip, if you ever have to paint mint chocolate chip ice cream, phthalo green is your friend. Oh, look, now I'm trying to rush. I get to this point. I told everybody on Twitch this before. I get to a certain point, and then I feel like I have to rush to finish my painting. And it's usually about an hour and 15 minutes in. Do I go to an hour and 20, hour and a half, and I'm kind of going, oh, it's time to be done. What's going on? And so we're at that point where I kind of feel like I need to start rushing, but I'm going to try to hold off here. But if I'm going to continue, I need this to be dry. So let me mute the mic here for a second. I'll keep going for a little while longer. Let me mute the mic for a second so I can get the hairdryer out and dry this off. Okay, I'm back. I think that's going to be dry enough to get going with. And I'm going to grab, I don't know what this is number 4 brush. And let's see, I'm going to turn this just a little bit. And I want to paint these leaves green back here. And I want them to have a little bit of dimension too, so I'm going to hope I can get a darker value of green on the inside of these and a little lighter value of green on the outside of these and still make it go all the way to the edges that I have defined. The edges I have defined, not too fine. All right, give me a little bit of this and I can warm this a little bit. And I don't know if you guys can hear it. There's a plane flying over my house right now. It's a weird sound to have at the moment, especially at night. Okay, there's a little bit of a leaf here now. I've teased this color out enough. This is one of the great things about using this Arches paper. Right? I just teased this color out a little bit, and now I can do whatever I want to with it. Right? I know there's a little bit of a center in here, so I can just make that a little bit darker in there, and when you see it, your eye is going to go, oh, I get it. That curves in right there. Same thing that we did with the flowers themselves, right? And if I did this enough and got some really darks on the inside here, then probably, actually, let me get a little bit more of this green on this side over here. There we go. That's going to look a little better. Let those mix in there and be a little happy. And the one thing is, if you do something and it doesn't look quite right to you, don't stop. Keep going. Don't stop whatever you do. Because once you stop, then your paint dries. Then you're in a bind. As long as your paint is wet and you're not using overly staining paint, I guess. Right, but while your paint is still wet, you can do a lot with it. Look at that. That's a good looking petal or a nice looking leaf right there. Let's see. QS Rick 7. So pretty. Thank you over on Twitch over there. Thank you. Haven't seen any plane for nearly a month. Holy cow. Mad Garlic. It's I've seen lots of planes here, and they're all the little private planes. I'm like, who is flying in these private planes? I thought that, I would not have thought that being able to pilot your plane was an essential thing. Why are they allowed to fly these things around? I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember the last time I heard one fly over at night. Now that's really weird to me, that there would be one anywhere around here at night. That's just, I don't understand that. So I'm just going to drop in a little bit of, I don't know what that is. That's olive green here. There's a little bit of olive green. I don't want to use blue on my greens. I could use blue on my greens, but I don't like using blue on my greens. So I'm just not kind of going to. I know. I don't do the same thing everybody else does. And my paintings don't look the same as everybody else's, and I'm totally fine with that. I don't. The first thing everybody gets told in watercolors is, oh, well, you don't paint a shadow gray, you paint it blue. Blue's going to make your shadow stand out a lot more, and I guess it does. To me, it also makes it look a lot more artificial. I guess there are some instances where a blue shadow is warranted, but when I look at a shadow, what I see is not a blue light, right? A blue anything. It's a darkening of whatever color that shadow is on, right? So if that shadow is on something blue, well, then a blue shadow would be completely appropriate. But if that shadow is on something orange, right, a blue, he's back. He's flying back over again at night. That's weird. Shadow colors. That's what I was talking about. Shadow colors. Shadow colors are just a darkening, in my opinion, and I will admit to being wrong plenty of times. I don't have any problem with that. A darkening of the color that, or something in that color family anyways, that the color is shadow, the shadow is falling upon. So why would I put a blue shadow on something yellow or green or something like that? But if I put a darker green on here, all of a sudden, then my shadow is actually kind of shadowy. I don't know if that makes sense at all. Here I'm going to put another leaf back here. I'm actually I want to get back to my ukulele playing. I don't know why. I'm fascinated with the ukulele all of a sudden. I'm really excited about it because I have a friend who plays guitar, and I've been bugging her for a long time to make me some theme music. And she's been, well, I don't know. I don't know that I want to make theme music for your channel. I'd feel funny if people didn't like it or they didn't want to see it or want to hear it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Come on, make me some theme music. It'll be great. But now Now I might be able to make my own theme music. How exciting would that be? Got a little dark with this leaf here. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. It's going to dry and lighten a little bit. A little leaf back here too. Even though it's a small area, I do kind of want to work a bit quickly. This one's definitely got some dark shadowiness in there. All right. See, we're coming down to the end. We're not doing too badly here. I haven't looked up at any of the comments here. I feel like I haven't looked up in 20 minutes to see any of the comments here. So that would be awesome. Make your own theme music. Can you sing too? I can't. No, I can't sing at all. This has never stopped me though. I'll let you in on a little secret. I can't play the ukulele either. That's not going to stop me. You're all going to tune in one day and you're going to go, oh my God, what is going on? What has happened with this channel? I can't stand to listen to it. It's terrible. Let's see. What brand of Pearline Green? Let's see. Okay. How about this for a theme song? I don't know. Apparently I was... Oh, you fell asleep on the first flower? Oh, come on. Is that some kind of commentary on my running commentary that you fell asleep? Oh. You missed a lot if you fell asleep on the first flower. Let me recap. No. No. I'm going to spend the next hour recapping everything I can remember that we've talked about. So let me get right up there. Drop a little bit of this in here. Right up along that side. This is just, again, this is just the olive green that's going on there. Just to give it a little different, a little different flavor. Nobody wants to see a green, just mixed a green forever. So we'll give it a little bit of life to it, a little bit of color change. And I can live with that. I can live with that one. I got this one here to do. This one's going to be much greener. It's kind of in the front of those, and I have a water spot. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. We're kind of getting, see, I'm not real happy with this one here. I said the only thing you can't do is stop. So I don't quite want to stop with this one. I kind of did that little bit of outline, and it looks too outliney for me. I'm not wild about that. That one bugs me a little bit. But I got a little bit of green down here, right? Yes, yes. So I got this side of it here, which is kind of inside. Of this thing. You'll see what I'm talking about. Here's the inside of that. This leaf is going to be like folded over here. All right, and then I'm going to do a little bit on the back side of this one. We've got some stems, and I might call that pretty much good for tonight. I don't know that I can go too much more. I can tell you I'm fading a little bit here. It gets to be a long day for me. Quite honestly, I never planned for this to take off and be so popular. And I certainly never planned for it to last for, where we're pushing 2 hours now? Getting close to 2 hours at night. I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in there. And it gets to be, albeit an enjoyable day. I'm certainly not saying I want to quit, because I certainly don't. It does get to be a long day sometimes. Oh, Mrs. T, thank you. Thank you. Let's see, we've got a few of these stems to go in here. So let's get these in. This was a continuation of this one here. So this is going to be, right, I'm going to make these really easy. Cobalt green. And this is the same thing I did with the top part of it. And then just go back with a bit of this olive green here. And like I said, that's going to, we're using the same two colors here for a lot of these leaves and stalks. And so that's going to help to keep the whole thing together. The same thing here. Right on down there. And up underneath this flower, a bit of this olive green. And just a little bit down here. Just touch your paintbrush to it here and there. It's just going to give it a little texture. That's all. It's not even going to do that much to it, but visually it's not going to do, when you're painting it, it's not going to do that much to it. But boy, when you look at it in 2 hours from now, you're going to go, wow, that did help. That really looked great. See this one here, I'm just going to dab that in. And just let it do what it's going to do there. Right? I think we've got just this one more. Well, we got one here. I can see that's coming from up there. It's coming from this guy. Right? And a little dark, and that's going to put it behind that leaf. And then this one. But these ones really aren't going to matter because they're mostly they're mostly behind, or they're going to be behind the frame here. So way down here, relatively less important what it's going to look like or how it's going to be. So I'm going to drop in some of this olive green again and right down the side of that stalk there. Well, these are looking good. Looking good. I think I'm going to revisit a little bit of this. Really light. Come on, really light. And just dabble in. Right, a few spots here and there. My hand shakes a little bit anyways. Maybe I'm just going to use that to my advantage. I don't even want them super dark. Right, there's a little bit of highlight coming off these things here. But we want to get them in there. And I'm not going to do anything on this one down here. I think that one looks good on its own. I like how this is, well, you know what, I like how that is, but I want this connected a little bit more. Right there. Okay. And I think I'm not going to futz with it any more than it is. I think I'm going to call that good for the night. Uh-oh. Let's see. Michael, your videos are always enjoyable and informative. It's always a bonus. I can't sleep as I can watch you live. I just need to do live videos every other night of the week. Holy cow. Every other night of the week. Woo. I don't know if I can do them every other night of the week. I would love to, but I don't know if I can do it every other night of the week. That would get to be a lot. Let's see. This is what it's going to look like kind of framed up here. So this is why I said down here, this little bit down here. I don't have to worry about that too much because that's going to kind of be covered up. So look at that. That looks fantastic. How about that? I think it looks great. Look at how great does that look? I'm totally stoked. I'm totally happy. I think this is my best one of the 3 that I've done this week. This is my best one this week. And I'm going to call it there. I'm getting pooped. I'm tiring out. Links down below to Instagram, Twitter, my website, links to... I don't know what I don't know what there are links to down there. There's links to the Discord channel down below on both Twitter and YouTube if you want to talk about a few things or post some things that you've painted, get some feedback on that from the group. That's great. Actually, I'm totally stoked with everybody who's taken part in the Discord channel. I didn't know exactly what to expect. I know what I wanted out of it. I didn't know what to expect out of it. I think it's growing fantastically. Everybody who's posted things has done a fantastic job and some wonderful artwork, mostly because it's not mine. You guys are all better than me. And let's see, links to my webpage, I think I said. There's a donation link down there if you have any interest in that. If you don't, that's fine. I'm not pushing the donations, although I am trying to make the art studios completely self-sufficient, and it would be greatly appreciated, not necessary. This is T. You're still trying to figure out Discord. We'll get you on there somehow. We'll get you on there. That's all I've got for you guys tonight. Thank you all so much for joining me. I had a great time with you. Thank you for helping me paint this beautiful painting. We'll do it all again next week here on YouTube, starting Wednesday and Monday on Twitter. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye. Oh.